government has committed summary executions. They are guilty of detaining people and not allowing them access to lawyers, to their families, even to visits from the Red Cross. They have been guilty of burning villages, of looting, and of general harassment of the population.
So because of that, the United States is greatly concerned with events there. And the frustrating thing is a lot of this was needless. As I said, we all know the history, we all know where this is coming from, and the Anglophone population of Cameroon would very much like to be considered as first-class citizens, and there is a sense that they feel like, and they have felt a long time, like they're second-class citizens.
But why are you so concerned about Cameroon's current predicament?
Well, part of that is exactly because of what I said just before, that the world seems not at all focused, or even, I hate to use the word interested, because that's not a very nice word to use, but the world just does not seem interested in what's going on in Cameroon. And the cause of the Anglophones, on the one hand, is absolutely just. The mechanisms that are being used by both sides are absolutely unjust. And I guess the most frustrating thing is that at one point at least, it would not have taken that much on the part of the Cameroonian government if they had been serious about addressing the root causes of these issues to have ended it. But instead, because of, I have to say it was bad faith, that they tried symbolic measures to end the problems. And as a result, hundreds of thousands have suffered, thousands have died, and the misery goes on and on and on.
Let me read out the content of a tweet. You tweeted on March 8th, you said, I quote, "Whatever direction Ambazonians decide to pursue, one certainty is the current status is unacceptable to 100% of Southern Cameroonians. Even the Cameroon government," or he wrote the Cam, but I'm sure it meant the Cameroon government, "even the Cameroon government must see this. Only question, when will change come and how much more suffering?" This is the same question the civilian population in Cameroon are asking you, Ambassador Tibor Nagy. When will change come and how much more suffering?
Yeah, and that's exactly why I asked that question. I forgot what happened when I sent that, but I know it was something that happened that continues to be tremendously frustrating, because we all know that the current status that the Anglophone region is in cannot continue like that. So the question is, the Cameroonian government obviously knows that. Will the Cameroonian government take steps now to change the situation in a way that would be acceptable to most of the Anglophone population? Or is it going to have to wait until there's a change in the Cameroonian government? I mean, President Biya has been there now for, 39 years? And it's obvious that he's not going to be there forever. So are things going to change before he leaves the scene? Are things going to change after he leaves the scene? Is it going to take even longer than that? I mean, we're at a point where what we call the status quo cannot remain. And there's a law in physics that if, something cannot go on, then it will stop. So the question is, when will that stop? How will it stop?
What will you say are some of the action during President Paul Biya's leadership that might have made him lose points within diplomatic circles in the United States?
That might have what?
Make
what kind
him
of points?
To lose points at the...
well, do we have 3 hours?
Of course, just make a summary, just a brief summary.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's start with this. During time, there has been a history of corruption. There has been a history of misgovernance. There has been, on the one hand, President Biya allowed the creation and the formation of additional political parties But on the other hand, some of the presidential elections, how can I say this diplomatically, have been deeply flawed. The economy could have probably grown much better without corruption if there had been a rule of law. Then we have to get to the issue at hand, the mishandling by the government of the problems in the Anglophone area, and instead of addressing them substantively, they have only been addressed symbolically. So I would say that would be one of the biggest complaints, is that what the government speaks is not often what the government actually does.
Mr. Ambassador, when you were in power, you once said Cameroon can't be divided, that you don't want a third poor country again as Sudan, but just of recently your conversation changed. Why this? Only now, when you're in power, you were against Southern Cameroon, but now you are in between. Mr. Ambassador, where is your position? Adrian Mulung from Douala.
Yeah, that's a great question. Here's the deal, and I have said this before. The American Assistant Secretary of State can recommend policy and can implement policy, but at the end of the day, in the United States system, it is the president and the executive that makes policy. So, if the policy of the United States of America is to support a unitary Cameroon, then that's the policy that the Assistant Secretary of State is going to promote and help implement. Now, we also have to look at the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground has changed considerably over the last couple of years because the Cameroonian government has failed to make any real substantial changes that would make the Anglophone Cameroonians more supportive of the type of system that they were recommending. So unfortunately, as the situation has deteriorated, my own thinking has also moved, and my personal belief very strongly is I can feel comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support.